Life will always bring moments where people disappoint us. Friends may betray us, partners may leave us, and sometimes our expectations get crushed. But here's the truth. Pain is not forever, and heartbreak does not have to control your future. This video is about how to face hurt with strength and how to avoid falling into endless sadness. If you want freedom from heartbreak, this journey is for you. Chapter 1. Understanding why we get hurt. We must begin with awareness. Most of the time, pain comes not only from what people do to us, but also from the expectations we create in our minds. When you expect someone to always be perfect, you will be shocked when they show flaws. When you expect someone to stay forever, you suffer when they walk away. The first step to avoid deep heartbreak is to lower unrealistic expectations. Human beings are not built to be perfect. They will fail, they will forget, they will change. If you always attach your happiness to another person's actions, you give them the key to your emotions. And when they turn that key in the wrong way, you break. But if you keep that key inside yourself, you control your feelings, and no one can destroy your peace. Ask yourself this question: why did that situation hurt me so much? Was it because the person truly destroyed my world, or because I believed they were my world? This difference is important. Pain comes less from reality and more from how we define reality. The moment you learn to see people as part of your journey, not the center of it, the easier it becomes to stand strong. You must also understand that hurt is a teacher. Every heartbreak shows you something about yourself. Maybe you need stronger boundaries. Maybe you give too much without balance. Or maybe you trusted too quickly. Instead of saying, "Why me?" start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" The answers to those questions are the seeds of emotional strength. Chapter 2. Stop holding on too tightly. One of the main reasons people suffer is because they hold on to things that are already gone. Imagine carrying a heavy bag filled with stones. The longer you hold it, the heavier it feels. This is exactly what happens when you refuse to let go of someone who has already walked away. You keep carrying the weight of memories, promises, and dreams that no longer exist. When you say to yourself, "I can't live without them," you are lying to your own heart. The truth is, you lived before they came, and you will live after they leave. Life never stops just because one chapter ends. The sooner you accept this, the lighter your soul becomes. Letting go does not mean you forget everything. It means you stop letting the past control your future. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to? Is it love, or is it fear of being alone? Many times, we are not really attached to the person, but to the idea of what life should look like with them. We fall in love with the movie in our head, not with reality. And when that movie ends, we panic. But life is not a movie, it is a constant change, and you must be flexible with it. To stop holding on too tightly, practice the art of release. Write down what hurts you, then burn or tear the paper. Say out loud, "This is no longer mine to carry." These small rituals may sound simple, but they help your mind separate the past from the present. Every time you feel the urge to replay the old story, remind yourself, "I choose peace over pain. I choose to move forward." Chapter 3. Don't feed the wound. Think about this. When you get a small cut on your skin, it hurts for a moment, but with time, it heals. However, if you keep scratching it every single day, it never closes. Instead, it becomes infected, and the pain spreads wider. That's exactly what happens when you go through heartbreak or disappointment, but continue to reopen the wound. Every time you scroll through your ex's photos, check their stories, reread old messages, or replay memories of the good times in your mind, you're not healing, you're scratching. You're tearing the skin that was starting to close. And what's worse, your brain cannot distinguish between past and present feelings. The moment you bring those memories back, your mind reacts as if they are happening now. That's why it feels so fresh, so raw, even weeks or months later. Your heart is trying to move forward, but your actions keep dragging it backward. Imagine being tied to a heavy rock while trying to run. You may be moving your legs, but you'll never get far. This is the cycle of heartbreak most people fall into, not because they can't move on, but because they don't stop feeding the wound. So, how do you stop scratching the wound? You start by controlling your habits. Every time you feel the urge to look them up online, pause. Ask yourself, what will this give me? Will it make you feel loved? No. Will it bring closure? Probably not. Most of the time, it only stabs your heart deeper. Instead of falling into that trap, replace it with something else. For example, if your instinct is to grab your phone, open a different app that benefits you. Read an ebook, listen to a podcast, write a journal entry. If your habit is replaying conversations in your head, interrupt it with a mantra like, I choose peace. I choose healing. At first, this feels fake, but repetition creates belief. Eventually, your brain Another key point, stop romanticizing the past. When you're hurt, your memory plays tricks on you. You only recall the sweet moments, the laughter, the promises. But was it really perfect? Probably not. That same person who made you smile also made you cry. The same story that felt magical had pages full of pain. Don't let nostalgia blind you. Healing begins when you see reality, not fantasy. And here's something powerful. Don't just resist the urge, replace it with growth. Channel the energy you waste stalking into something productive. Learn a new skill, hit the gym, travel somewhere new. The more you build yourself, the less space pain has to stay. One more thing, find safe outlets for your emotions. Holding it in only adds pressure. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to write a letter you'll never send, do it. If you need to talk, call a friend. Expression is release. But here's the catch. Do it in a way that moves you forward, not keeps you stuck. Complaining daily about the same heartbreak only glues you to it. Express, release, and then redirect. Over time, you'll notice something strange. The memories lose their sharpness. The faces fade. The sting softens. That's not weakness, it's healing. You're not erasing the past. You're simply reclaiming your power from it. So, the lesson of this chapter is clear. Don't feed the wound. Don't scratch it with your attention. Don't fuel it with your habits. And don't glorify the pain. Healing happens when you starve the fire. Each day you choose not to feed it, you take one step closer to peace. Because in the end, heartbreak doesn't destroy you. Feeding it does. Chapter 4. Rewrite your story. Every person walks around with an invisible book inside their mind. This book is filled with chapters, moments of joy, chapters of sorrow, lessons, mistakes, and victories. When you go through heartbreak, it feels like your book has been ruined. Like the last chapter is so dark, so painful, that it stains all the pages before it. But here's a question most people never ask themselves. Who is holding the pen? The truth is, the pen has always been in your hands. You are not only the main character in your story, you are also the author. That means no matter how terrible one chapter is, you have the power to decide what the next one looks like. Heartbreak is not the end of your book. It's not even the climax. It's just one messy, complicated chapter. But what follows, that's up to you. Think about every great story you've ever read or watched. The hero never gets a smooth, easy path. There's always a part where they fall, where they get betrayed, where they lose something or someone important. But what makes the story powerful isn't the pain itself, it's the way the character rises from it. That's what makes people turn the page. So now, ask yourself, if my life were a story, what kind of character do I want to be? Do you want to be the character who stays stuck in one painful scene forever, rereading the same lines of heartbreak? Or do you want to be the character who grows, who transforms, who shocks everyone, including themselves, with strength they didn't know they had? Rewriting your story doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened. It means reframing what the pain means to you. Instead of writing, "This is where I lost everything," you can write, "This is where I discovered my strength." Instead of saying, "This was the end of me," you can say, "This was the beginning of a new me." And let's be real, it's not easy to flip the script overnight. The first draft of your new story might still sound bitter, angry, or broken. But remember, no book is written perfectly in one sitting. Rewriting takes time. It takes editing. It takes courage to cross out sentences that no longer serve you. Start small. Write in a journal not just about what happened, but about what you learned. Maybe you realized you need to set stronger boundaries. Maybe you found out that love is not about losing yourself to someone else. Maybe you discovered parts of yourself that had been asleep for years. These lessons are not just words. They're the seeds of your next chapter. Here's a powerful exercise. Imagine yourself 10 years from now, looking back at this heartbreak. How would you want that older version of you to describe it? Do you want them to say, "That's the moment I fell apart and never got up"? Or do you want them to say, "That's the moment everything changed. That pain became the doorway to my growth"? You get to decide. That's the beauty of holding the pen. Another key part of rewriting your story is changing the role you assign to other people. Too often, we make our exes the main character. Every thought, every scene, every page revolves around them. But the truth is, they were just a supporting character. Important for a few chapters, yes, but not the whole book. The danger comes when you give someone else authorship over your story. That's when you lose control. Take the pen back, recenter yourself. Remind yourself, I am the main character here. This is my story, and no one else gets to define how it goes. And remember, rewriting doesn't only happen on paper. It happens in your choices. Every decision you make from this point forward is a sentence in your story. If you choose to stay bitter, your story reflects that. If you choose to heal, to grow, to pursue something new, then your story begins to shift. Here's the secret. The pain you feel right now might one day become the very reason someone else finds hope. The words you write, the lessons you share, the way you rise someone out there will need that story. And when you tell it, they'll believe in their own healing too. So, instead of saying, "This heartbreak ruined me," try saying, "This heartbreak is part of my training." Training for what? For resilience, for wisdom, for deeper love, one that starts with yourself. Rewriting your story is not about erasing the scars. It's about turning scars into proof of survival. Proof that you went through fire and came out stronger. Proof that life can break you, but it cannot define you unless you let it. So, close the painful chapter, not by forgetting it, but by writing the next one with more courage, more clarity, and more power than ever before. Because your story is not over. In fact, the best chapters are still unwritten, and the pennant's right there, waiting in your hands. Chapter 5. Build emotional resilience. Life will never be free of challenges. People will still disappoint you. Things won't always go according to plan, and heartbreak may visit again. But the difference between someone who falls apart and someone who stands strong lies in one skill: emotional resilience. This is the ability to bounce back, adapt, and grow stronger after every storm. Without resilience, even small problems feel like mountains. With resilience, even the biggest pain becomes a stepping stone. Resilience does not mean you never feel sad or hurt. It means you allow yourself to feel, but you don't stay stuck there forever. Imagine a tree in a storm. A weak tree breaks when the wind comes, but a strong tree bends and sways, then rises again when the storm is over. That is resilience. You may bend under pressure, but you don't break. You rise again. So, how can you build resilience in your own life? The first step is self-awareness. Know your triggers, your weaknesses, and your limits. Many people get overwhelmed because they don't recognize when their emotions are rising. Pay attention to your body. Does your chest feel tight when you're stressed? Do you clench your jaw when you're angry? These signals are early warnings. By noticing them, you can take action before emotions explode. The second step is healthy coping strategies. Some people turn to alcohol, overeating, or endless scrolling on social media when they feel low. But these only numb the pain temporarily and leave you feeling worse afterward. True resilience comes from positive coping habits: journaling, exercising, meditating, or talking to someone you trust. These habits do not erase the problem, but they give you the strength to face it without breaking. The third step is reframing challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can this teach me?" Or, "How can I use this to grow?" Every challenge is an opportunity to practice strength. Heartbreak teaches patience. Rejection teaches persistence. Loneliness teaches self-love. When you reframe pain as a teacher, it loses its power to destroy you. It becomes fuel instead. Another important part of resilience is self-care. Many people think resilience is only about mental toughness, but your body and mind are deeply connected. Sleep well, eat nourishing foods, move your body daily. When your body is weak, your emotions are easily shaken. But when your body is cared for, you feel grounded and ready to face whatever life throws at you. Resilience starts with the basics of health. Support systems also play a huge role in resilience. Humans are not meant to carry burdens alone. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not those who drain your energy. Share your struggles with friends, mentors, or family. Sometimes, just hearing the words "you're not alone" can give you the strength to keep moving. True strength is not isolating yourself, but knowing when to ask for help. One overlooked key to resilience is gratitude. When you focus only on what you lost, pain grows bigger. But when you practice gratitude for what you still have, healing becomes faster. Every morning, write down 3 things you're thankful for: your health, a friend, a new opportunity, even something simple, like a good cup of coffee. Gratitude rewires your brain to see possibilities instead of limitations. This shift makes you stronger than heartbreak. Resilience also grows through acceptance. Some things cannot be changed, no matter how much you wish otherwise. Acceptance does not mean you like what happened. It means you stop wasting energy fighting reality. The more you resist, the more drained you feel. But when you accept, you free yourself to focus on what you can control. This is one of the most powerful acts of resilience. Finally, remember that resilience is built over time. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become unshakable. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every failure is training. With each one, you learn, you grow, you rise faster. One day, what once made you cry for weeks will only make you pause for a moment before moving on. That is proof of your growth. So, if you want to stop being easily brokenhearted, make resilience your daily practice. Feel your emotions, but don't drown in them. Choose healthy ways to cope. Reframe pain into lessons. Take care of your body, Lean on your support system and practice gratitude. Step by step, you will become stronger. And when the next storm comes, you will not be shattered. You will bend, sway, and rise again wiser, braver, and unshaken. Chapter 6: Gratitude as Emotional Armor. Gratitude is more powerful than it looks. When you practice gratitude, your heart becomes stronger and pain does not stick as long as before. Think of it like emotional armor. A person who is grateful for what they already have is less shaken by what they lose. Every day, no matter how small, find at least one thing to be thankful for. It can be your bed, your meal, a friend, or even the chance to start again. When your mind focuses on gratitude, your brain releases positive chemicals that heal the pain of rejection or disappointment. Science shows that people who keep gratitude journals feel happier and less anxious. So when you feel like your world is breaking, write 3 things you are thankful for. Do this daily, even when you do not feel like it. Slowly, it builds emotional strength. Gratitude also changes your perspective about failure and heartbreak. Instead of saying, "Why did this happen to me?" you shift to, "What can I learn from this? What blessings are still here?" That simple change of thought makes pain smaller and more manageable. Gratitude turns your mind from victim to survivor, from broken to growing. That is the hidden power that makes you less fragile inside. But gratitude is not pretending everything is perfect. It is not ignoring pain. It is learning to see that even inside pain, there is something left to hold on to. You can be hurt and still grateful. You can cry and still say thank you for the lesson. Gratitude gives meaning to suffering, and meaning is what keeps the human spirit alive. If you practice it daily, you will not be easily broken. Chapter 7: How to Stop Overthinking the Past. One of the biggest reasons people stay hurt is because they keep replaying the same story in their mind. Overthinking is like a broken record. You keep listening to the same sad song, and of course it makes you feel the same pain again and again. The truth is, the past cannot be changed. You cannot edit it like a movie, but you can decide not to watch the replay. That decision is the first step to freedom. Your brain is like a cinema. If you keep showing the film of your heartbreak, your emotions will keep reacting as if it just happened. This is why overthinking makes you suffer longer than necessary. To break this cycle, you must learn to replace the movie. Instead of replaying painful scenes, start playing moments of strength, of lessons, or even dreams about your future. This simple mental switch saves you from drowning in old pain. Another trick is to ask yourself, is this thought helping me move forward or holding me back? If it holds you back, then it is not worth your energy. Overthinking is often disguised as problem solving, but in reality, it is just endless circles. It gives you no answer, only more stress. Train your mind to notice when you are going in circles. When you catch yourself, gently say, "Stop, breathe, focus on now." Overthinking also grows in silence. When you are alone and doing nothing, your mind loves to wander back to the past. That is why staying active is important. Exercise, read, talk to friends, or work on a project. Keep your mind busy with things that build you up. If you leave it empty, it will fill itself with the past. Activity creates new energy, and new energy pushes away old pain. The key is not to fight your thoughts like an enemy. If you try to force yourself not to think, you will think even more. Instead, observe them like clouds passing in the sky. Do not hold them, do not chase them, just let them come and go. The more you practice this, the weaker the power of overthinking becomes. You learn that thoughts are just thoughts. They are not chains unless you hold on to them. Chapter 8: Focus on growth not wounds. When we get hurt emotionally, whether it's heartbreak, rejection, or disappointment, our natural instinct is to look at the wound again and again. It's almost like when you accidentally cut your hand. You keep checking it, even poking it, even though you know it will hurt. Emotionally, we often do the same thing. We replay the memory, the words someone said, or the moment when everything went wrong. The problem is, just like a physical wound, constantly touching it doesn't help. It actually slows the healing down. If you want to stop living in pain and start moving forward, you have to learn the art of shifting your focus from wounds to growth. Imagine someone wronged you or left you when you needed them most. That memory becomes like a movie that keeps looping in your head. The more you replay it, the deeper the pain feels. You might even start creating new scenes in your mind, what you should have said, what they should have done, or how it could have been different. But let me tell you this, your brain doesn't know the difference between remembering and reliving. When you replay the wound, your brain reacts as if it's happening all over again. Your heart races, your stomach knots, and your emotions spike. You're reopening the wound instead of letting it close. So the first step is awareness. Realize that replaying the hurt is not healing, it's feeding the pain. Every painful experience gives you two paths. Stay in the wound, keep replaying the moment, keep blaming yourself or others, and let the pain define your future. Shift to growth. Ask, what can I learn? How can I use this pain to become stronger, wiser, and better? It sounds simple, but it takes courage. Growth doesn't happen automatically. Happens when you choose to stand up again after being knocked down. Think about athletes. When they lose a game, they don't sit and replay the defeat over and over. They study the mistakes, learn from them, and get back to training. Their eyes are not stuck on the failure, but on the future. That's how you need to treat emotional pain, too. Every heartbreak, rejection, or disappointment carries a hidden message. It teaches you something about yourself, about others, or about life in general. Here are some examples. Heartbreak teaches you what kind of love you truly need and what red flags you should never ignore again. Rejection teaches you resilience, that not everyone will see your worth, but that doesn't mean you are worthless. Failure teaches you where your weaknesses are and how to improve. Ask yourself, if this pain was a teacher, what is it trying to teach me? Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's teaching you boundaries. Maybe it's teaching you that you deserve more than you've been settling for. When you see the lesson, the pain becomes meaningful. And when pain has meaning, it's easier to carry. One of the biggest traps people fall into is believing that because they are hurt, they are broken forever. That's not true. Your wounds are experiences, not your identity. Think of scars on your skin. They don't define you, they're just marks of battles you've overcome. Emotional scars are the same. They don't mean you're weak. They mean you're still here, stronger than before. Stop telling yourself stories like, I'll never be okay, or I'm always the one who gets hurt. Those are wounds speaking. Instead, remind yourself, I am healing, I am growing, I am learning. Energy is like water. It will flow wherever you direct it. If you pour all your energy into reliving the past, then your present and future will be dry, lifeless, and stuck. But if you redirect that same energy into growth, new skills, new goals, new friendships, you will feel alive again. Here are practical ways to shift your focus. Set a personal project. It could be fitness, writing, learning a language, or anything that excites you. Projects give your mind something new to focus on. Surround yourself with growth-minded people. The more you talk about opportunities instead of pain, the faster you're healing. Journal for clarity. Instead of replaying the wound in your head, write it down. Then, write down what you've learned and what you'll do differently in the future. Remember, the wound is in the past, but growth is in the future. Which one do you want to water? Let me share something powerful. The story you tell yourself about your pain will either break you or build you. If your story is, "They hurt me, I'll never trust again," you'll live in fear. If your story is, "Yes, they hurt me, but I learned what real respect looks like," you'll live with strength. You can't change what happened, but you can change the meaning you give it. Change the story, and you change your future. Don't think you need to make a massive leap overnight. Growth often happens through small, consistent shifts. For example, replace one negative thought with one positive lesson. Spend 10 minutes a day on something that excites you instead of something that drains you. Celebrate small wins. Even smiling more today than yesterday is growth. Over time, these small shifts build into a strong, confident, and resilient version of yourself. Here's a truth that can set you free. The past is powerless without your attention. The only reason it feels so alive is because you keep giving it energy. The wound exists, but if you stop scratching it, it will close. Forgiveness plays a big role here. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you're choosing to no longer let it control your present. You're freeing yourself, not them. The past is a closed door. Stop knocking on it. Turn around and walk toward the open door of your future. You are not your wounds. You are the gardener of your own growth. Every pain you've felt is just fertilizer for the seeds of your strength, resilience, and wisdom. Stop pouring your energy into replaying what hurt you. Start watering the future you're building. Focus on growth, not wounds. That's how you transform pain into power. Chapter 9: Building Inner Peace and Protecting Your Heart. Life is full of unexpected events, and sometimes these moments bring joy, while other times they bring disappointment. The truth is, you cannot control everything that happens to you. However, you can control how you respond, how you interpret the events, and how you allow them to affect your emotions. This is the first secret to not getting hurt easily. Separating what is inside your control from what is outside it. Many people get stuck in endless pain because they confuse these two areas. They try to change other people's behaviors, force situations to happen the way they imagine, or demand the world to adjust to their preferences. When these expectations fail, the result is sadness, heartbreak, and frustration. The key is to remind yourself daily, I cannot control others, but I can control myself. This mindset creates a shield for your heart. Another important practice is emotional awareness. Most people live their days without really noticing their emotions until they explode in anger or sink into sadness. By becoming aware of your emotional state, you can stop negative feelings before they overwhelm you. Notice the tightness in your chest, the heaviness in your thoughts, or the restlessness in your actions. Awareness is like turning on the lights in a dark room. It helps you see clearly. When you feel hurt by someone's words or actions, pause and ask yourself, is this about me or is this about them? Often, people hurt others because they themselves are hurting. Their words may reflect their own insecurity, jealousy, or pain. By asking this question, you can separate your value from their projection. It is not always about you. Sometimes it is simply about what they are carrying inside. Forgiveness is also a powerful weapon in avoiding heartbreak. Forgiveness is not about saying that what someone did was right. It is not about pretending that nothing happened. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from carrying a heavy burden on your back. The anger, the bitterness, and the grudge only hurt you, not the other person. When you forgive, you are choosing your peace over your pain. Another way to protect your heart is by building clear boundaries. Many times, pain comes from allowing people to cross your limits repeatedly. If you always say yes when you want to say no, or if you let people treat you unfairly, of course you will end up feeling broken. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates. They allow love and kindness in, but they keep disrespect and negativity out. Confidence plays a role as well. When you believe in yourself, other people's words lose their power to destroy you. Imagine two people receiving the same insult. One person crumbles and believes it, while the other laughs and walks away. The difference is not in the insult, but in their self-confidence. If you know your worth deeply, no one can convince you otherwise. Practicing gratitude is another strong method to avoid emotional pain. It is easy to get lost in the things you lack, the people who left, or the opportunities that slipped away. But if you spend time daily focusing on what you still have, your perspective shifts. Gratitude turns your attention from wounds to blessings. A grateful heart is naturally more resilient to disappointment. Also, keep in mind that comparison is poison. Many people feel heartache because they compare their lives to others they see on social media. They believe everyone else is happier, richer, or more loved than them. But what you see online is only a highlight reel, not the full movie. Everyone struggles. Everyone has pain. The less you compare, the less you suffer unnecessarily. Self-care is not just about bubble baths or skincare routines. It is about consistently giving your mind, body, and soul the fuel they need to stay balanced. Sleep well, eat nutritious food, move your body, and engage in hobbies that bring joy. When you are physically and mentally strong, you are less likely to be shaken by small disappointments. Strength on the inside leads to peace on the outside. Mindfulness meditation is another tool to protect yourself from heartbreak. By sitting quietly and observing your thoughts without judgment, you train your mind not to react instantly to emotions. Instead of letting sadness or anger control you, you learn to watch them pass like clouds in the sky. This skill gives you space between stimulus and response, and in that space, you find freedom. One underrated way to avoid pain is to lower unrealistic expectations. Pain often comes when reality does not meet the fantasy in your mind. If you expect people to always treat you perfectly, you will be hurt. If you expect life to always be smooth, you will be crushed. Accepting life as imperfect and people as flawed helps you face challenges without unnecessary heartbreak. Developing resilience is like training a muscle. Every challenge you face makes you stronger if you choose to see it that way. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Every disappointment can either break you or build you. Resilient people understand that failure, rejection, and pain are not the end, they are training for the next level. Another effective approach is focusing on your purpose. People who know why they are living, who have meaningful goals, are not easily shaken by small pains. If your vision is big enough, you will not waste time crying over small setbacks. Purpose gives direction to your emotions and turns temporary pain into fuel for growth. Surrounding yourself with the right people is also crucial. No matter how strong you are, if you spend time with negative, toxic, or unsupportive people, you will end up drained and hurt. Choose friends who uplift you, who listen without judgment, and who encourage your growth. The environment you live in affects your emotional health more than you may realize. Sometimes the best way to avoid pain is simply to accept that it is part of life. Running away from pain only makes it worse. When you embrace the fact that hurt, loss, and disappointment are inevitable, you stop fearing them so much. Acceptance removes resistance, And when resistance disappears, suffering reduces. Pain is temporary. It will pass like seasons. Creativity can also heal emotional wounds. Writing, painting, dancing, or even playing music are ways to express feelings without words. Instead of letting emotions stay locked inside your chest, creativity allows them to flow out in a healthy way. Many great works of art were born from heartbreak, proving that pain can be transformed into beauty. Another step is to reframe negative situations. Instead of thinking, I lost something, try asking, what did I gain or what did I avoid? Sometimes rejection is protection. Sometimes a closed door is redirecting you to a better path. By changing the frame of your story, you change the emotional impact. Perspective is powerful medicine. Faith or spirituality can also help. Believing in something greater than yourself gives comfort when life feels overwhelming. Whether it is prayer, meditation, or simply trusting that the universe has a plan, faith provides hope. And hope is the antidote to despair. When you believe that everything happens for a reason, it is easier to let go of hurt. Journaling is another practical tool. Writing down your emotions helps release them from your mind. Instead of replaying the same painful thoughts in your head, you transfer them to paper. Journaling also helps you see patterns. You may notice triggers, repeated mistakes, or lessons hiding inside your story. Writing is therapy for the soul. Taking responsibility is also essential. Sometimes we hurt because we blame everyone else for our pain. But blaming gives away your power. By admitting your role in situations, you gain control. Responsibility does not mean blaming yourself. It means owning your ability to choose differently next time. This empowers you instead of keeping you as a victim. Finally, practice letting go. Holding on to something that no longer serves you only keeps the wound open. Whether it is a person, a memory, or an old dream, letting go creates space for something new. Think of your heart like a garden. If you keep holding on to weeds, flowers cannot grow. Releasing the past is the only way to welcome the future. Chapter 10. Build emotional strength through acceptance. Many people spend years of their lives trapped in cycles of regret, resentment, or sadness because they cannot accept what has already happened. But the truth is that fighting reality will never change the past, and the only thing it does is exhaust your energy, cloud your mind, and keep you locked inside pain that could have been released much sooner. Acceptance does not mean weakness, nor does it mean agreeing with what was wrong, unfair, or painful. Instead, it means finally recognizing the reality that stands before you and deciding not to let denial or resistance eat away at your spirit. Because peace often begins the very moment you stop insisting that life should have gone differently. When you practice acceptance, you are not saying, I am okay with being hurt or I am fine with betrayal. But you are saying, I will not allow this event to control the rest of my future. And that choice creates emotional space where healing can happen naturally instead of dragging scars into every new relationship or opportunity you encounter. Think about a broken glass. No matter how much you want it to return to its original form, no amount of frustration or denial will restore it. But once you accept that it is broken, you can either clean up the pieces to avoid injury or even repurpose them into art, which is exactly how acceptance transforms damage into possibility. The opposite of acceptance is resistance, and resistance feels like carrying a backpack full of rocks wherever you go, each rock representing anger, guilt, or sadness, making your journey through life heavier than it should be. While acceptance is the act of putting down those rocks, leaving you lighter, freer, and able to move forward without constant exhaustion. Developing acceptance requires practice. And one way to strengthen it is through mindfulness, observing your thoughts without judgment, noticing the urge to fight reality, and gently guiding yourself back to the awareness that you cannot rewrite the past, but you can decide what kind of story you will carry into the future. Another method is reframing the meaning of experiences. Instead of saying, "This destroyed me," try saying, "This shaped me into someone stronger." Because language has power, and by shifting the words you use to describe what happened, you shift the weight it carries, making it easier for your mind to integrate the pain into growth. Acceptance also teaches patience with yourself, because healing is not immediate. Even when you tell yourself, "I accept," your emotions may still ache, but with time, repeating the practice allows your heart to soften, and eventually your brain begins to follow the path you have chosen, turning acceptance from a choice into a habit. In relationships, acceptance means recognizing that people may never give you the apology you want, and waiting for it keeps you tied to them in bitterness. But when you accept that closure can come from within yourself, you free your heart from depending on someone else's actions in order to finally experience peace. Acceptance can also be spiritual or philosophical. Some believe in trusting a higher plan, others in trusting the natural flow of life, but the common thread is surrendering the illusion of control, realizing that life cannot be bent entirely to your will, and that humility creates resilience because you no longer collapse every time something unexpected happens. Remember, acceptance is not the same as avoidance. Avoidance means running away, pretending it never happened, or numbing yourself through distractions, while acceptance means facing the truth directly, breathing through it, and then deciding consciously how you want to carry on without letting the wound define your whole identity. A powerful exercise to build acceptance is journaling. Write down the story of what happened, how it made you feel, and then write the phrase, "I cannot change this, but I can change how I respond." Repeating it until your brain learns to separate the event itself from the endless suffering you once attached to it. Another tool is gratitude, which may sound contradictory, but when you search for even the smallest lesson or strength gained from painful moments, gratitude becomes the bridge that turns resentment into wisdom, allowing acceptance to grow naturally because you begin to see the value hidden within difficulties that once felt unbearable. Over time, you realize that acceptance is not just a one-time event, but an ongoing practice. Because new challenges will always come, yet with every trial, you learn faster to let go of resistance. And eventually, you build an emotional muscle strong enough to face storms without breaking, transforming you into someone unshakable. The gift of acceptance is freedom. The freedom to live today without carrying yesterday's chains. The freedom to feel joy again without guilt. And the freedom to create new stories untainted by old wounds. Proving that strength is not always found in fighting harder, but sometimes in finally releasing your grip and letting life move forward. Chapter 11, Walking Forward Without Pain. Life is never a straight line. It twists, turns, and often throws us into storms when we least expect it. And in those storms, we discover not only the depth of our pain, but also the true potential of our resilience. Because strength is not built in moments of comfort, but in the battles, where we choose to keep walking despite the weight pressing on our hearts. To live without being consumed by pain means to understand that heartbreak, disappointment, and rejection are not the end of our story, but simply a chapter that teaches us lessons we may not want to learn, yet deeply need. And once we realize that each wound can be transformed into wisdom, we stop seeing ourselves as broken and start seeing ourselves as survivors who refuse to remain stuck in the past. The art of walking forward without pain lies not in forgetting everything that hurt you, but in choosing to carry those memories without letting them define who you are today. Because carrying pain like a heavy backpack only makes your steps slower. But once you put it down, you will discover that the road ahead feels lighter, brighter, and far more possible than you imagined. Every scar you carry is evidence that you have lived, felt deeply, and endured moments that could have crushed you. Yet here you are, breathing, and still searching for growth. And that alone proves your strength. For the fact that you are willing to heal and move forward shows that you are braver than you believe, stronger than you know, and more capable than you realize. When you allow yourself to accept that the past cannot be changed, you release the grip of bitterness and make room for something new. Because holding on to pain is like clutching broken glass, it keeps cutting you long after the event is over. But when you let go, your hands can finally heal and be free to hold something far more beautiful. Walking forward without pain also means creating boundaries that protect your heart, not walls that isolate you, because boundaries are not built to shut people out completely, but to remind you that your peace, your happiness, and your energy are worth protecting. And when you live with that awareness, you begin to walk with a quiet confidence that no one can easily shake. This is how you build resilience. Not by pretending pain doesn't exist, not by faking smiles while you are shattered inside, but by acknowledging your feelings, processing them with honesty, and then slowly redirecting your focus toward the future you want to create. Because healing is not about speed, but about intention, and every intentional step makes you stronger. So, choose to release the heaviness of sorrow, the chains of overthinking, and the shadows of doubt that once held you captive. Because the world is too vast to be defined by one heartbreak, and too full of possibilities to be limited by one failure. And when you finally walk with a lighter heart, you will discover opportunities, friendships, and love that once remained hidden behind the fog of your sadness. At that moment, you will understand that healing is not a destination, but an ongoing journey of learning, unlearning, and growing. Because each step you take away from pain brings you closer to freedom. And each day you wake up choosing peace over bitterness brings you closer to the life you are meant to live, one where you are not haunted by heartbreak, but guided by hope. Summary and recap. Throughout this journey, we uncovered the keys to living without being consumed by heartbreak, learning to let go, shifting perspective, and embracing resilience. Because the truth is, pain is not permanent unless we keep holding on to it. And by practicing acceptance, building healthy boundaries, and focusing on the present, we give ourselves the chance to heal and grow into stronger, wiser, and more compassionate versions of who we are meant to be. We explored how to transform heartbreak into wisdom, how to see rejection not as the end, but as redirection, and how to cultivate resilience that empowers us to rise again. Because every fall is an invitation to stand taller. Every disappointment is a reminder of what we deserve. And every scar is proof that we survived battles that once felt impossible to overcome, making us unshakable in the face of future storms. Remember, the secret is not to avoid pain, because life will never promise you a smooth journey, but to walk through it without allowing it to break your spirit. Because happiness comes not from living without problems, but from facing them with courage, acceptance, and the wisdom to know that no storm lasts forever, and no heartbreak defines your entire existence unless you allow it. So, as you close this chapter, carry with you this truth. Pain is temporary, but growth is permanent. Heartbreak may sting, but it will eventually fade. Sorrow may visit, but it is not meant to stay, because you are stronger than your sadness, braver than your fears, and destined for a life far greater than the pain you once endured. And if this message has touched even a small part of your heart, then I invite you to take one more step on this journey. Click like, press subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it, because together we can build a space of healing, strength, and growth, reminding each other that life is too beautiful to waste in heartbreak and too precious not to be lived fully with love, peace, and courage.